Hi everyone, welcome to Way of Life Dog Training. My name is Suha and I'm your human-dog relationship coach and trainer. And I'm here with my best girl Nejra, my Belgian Malinois rescue who's around 7 or 8 years old. And together we want to talk to you a little bit about using a long line. So what do I mean by a long line? I'm talking about a 10 to 15 foot line. And it can come in a variety of materials. It could be a biothane line, it could be a leather line, it could be a corded line. It could be one of those thick rubber lines with nubbies, and I'll have another video about the different lines later. But for now, I want to talk to you about why we use this long line. All right. Many of you struggle with walking your dogs. Many dogs pull, many dogs lunge at things, many dogs react to things. There's an entire industry on how to better control dogs using collars, using choke chains, using prong collars, using head halters, no pull harnesses, remote collars. I mean, it's in the millions and billions of dollars to try to control these dogs, okay? My suggestion and my approach is that we start in a quiet place like this driveway, using a long line where it's quiet, using food, and also, of course, attending to the other aspects of the way of life that I coach my people on. So it's not just enough to put the dog on a long line and expect good behavior. There's other things that we need to do in our way of life that is going to help this work. Okay, so the idea of the long line, you guys, is that it relaxes the interaction between you and your dog. The idea is that we are engaging together, training together, walking together, working together with the line loose, hitting the ground, okay, and both of us almost forgetting that the line is even there, okay? Imagine how a dog feels when you're walking on a tense line, and we see that a lot. Dogs being walked on a very tense line where they're pulling, and it's just not a fun interaction for anybody, okay? And so the idea is that we start on this long line, and eventually with time we will shorten the line. So we won't be walking all the time on a 10 to 15 foot line. We will eventually be walking on a 4 or 6 foot line because we have a dog that is happy to be around us, with us, and near us, and we don't need to train so much on walking around us. But the long line takes the tension away from the whole exercise of walking a dog on a line, and that's why I use it and encourage it so much. Thank you. So in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit and demonstrate to you the treat toss exercise. Treat toss exercise is super easy, you guys. As the name suggests, it is simply about tossing treats for your dog to catch, for your dog to go after, okay? Now, why do we do this treat toss exercise? First of all, it involves food, which builds up your dog's food drive and works on their dog's interest for food, but also because it involves an element of the dog running after food, chasing after food, finding the food. It also helps build up your dog's prey drive. So not all dogs necessarily are keen on balls or toys or tugs immediately, but that prey drive is something that you can build up in your dog, okay? Don't assume that because your dog is not showing a lot of interest in toys or tugging in the early going, that necessarily means they're not going to want to tug or play ball with you down the road. You've got to build up the drives to get there, okay? And you would start not so much with toys, but with food. And so with the treat toss exercise, when I'm tossing treats and the dog has to run and chase after those treats, you can see how that would excite and stimulate that chasing prey instinct that we actually want to develop further in the direction of using toys and tugs, okay? The other reason why we use this long line is because, like I said in another video on handling the long line, it relaxes the interaction, okay? The dog forgets that the line is even there. I forget that a line is even there because ultimately, you guys, the aim is to work without a line. The aim is not to have a line there at all. So if I take the line off of Nejra, that doesn't change anything to her posture. It doesn't change anything to her attitude because the entire time it's not the line that was relevant. It was not the line that was keeping the dog there. What was keeping the dog there is the exercises that we are doing together, which are fun, which are stimulating, which are bonding, okay? So the idea here is that if the dog is able to operate on this long line and forget that it's even there, eventually we can work towards dragging the line, and eventually we will work towards getting rid of the line entirely, okay? So let's talk about the treat toss exercise. With the treat toss, we want to start easy and then build up to more difficult. What do I mean by easy? So you're starting in a surface or a space where the dog can see where the treat has been tossed. Okay? Good girl. All right? So you want to show the dog that you've got something. We want to keep this line loose. What I like is for the line to hang on my wrist, okay, so that I forget that it's even there and I can use both my hands. All right? So very simply, you guys, I'm going to toss the treat, and you want to toss to the length of the line. So at the beginning, you're not going very far, and that's another reason why I like to use this 10-foot to 15-foot line, is so that I can toss the dog at the extent of that length. Okay, she didn't see me. Good. Here, Nejra. Good dog. So let the dog see that you've got this treat and toss it out. And the way I like to toss it out, you guys, is sort of like you would toss out you would throw a bowling ball. Okay, so instead of going like this, all right, you are going like this. Okay, like so. All right, very good. Ready, Nejra? Good. And you want to let this line slide in your hand. Good girl. Because we don't want to restrict the dog in any way. The dog shouldn't feel corrected for having gone after your treat. So if you've got to follow a little bit, you can do that. Okay? Very good. So the idea here is also to get the dog a little tuckered out and exercised and running. So you can start small and light to build up interest in the exercise, and then eventually you can make it this big treat toss party and have fun with it. Okay? So let's do this with Nejra. Ready, Nejra? Good, Nejra. Good girl. Nice job. Ready? Good. Hey, Papa. Good girl. And you can see, you guys, the entire time this line is loose. I've got it there for safety. I've got it there for connection. I've got it there because when you're first getting started with a dog, that line matters. Okay? Too many of us are in a rush to get the lines off the dog. Dog's not ready to be off leash just yet. Not only that, the dog also relies on the line for their safety. So yes, we want to give them the gift of freedom, but more importantly is the gift of feeling safe. And it starts by being on a line and then getting rid of the line. Okay? Good. Ready, Nejra? Good dog. That's it. Fun, fun. You're a good girl. Nice job. Now, you want to throw out one at a time, not several at a time, because you don't want this to turn into a treat scatter exercise. That's not what it is. Okay? Very simply, you guys, for those who don't know, a treat scatter exercise is simply about scattering a few treats here and keeping the dog busy, gathering all those treats, okay? That's not what we're doing with the treat toss. With the treat toss, we're throwing one at a time. And another very important tip here, Nejra, is making sure that the dog is checking in with you before you toss the next one. Or else it becomes a situation where your dog is just looking on the ground instead of looking to you. Okay? Very good. Ready, Nejra? Good job. Now, wait for her to check in with me. Good girl. I'm going to put my hand away because I want her to look into my face. Good dog. Nice job. See how you can start to build up on this exercise and gradually make it more and more defined and subtle with what you're doing. Okay? Good. Nice job. Now, one thing that can happen with a long line is the long line getting tangled around my body or your dog's body. So this is where you got to be paying attention, right? Watch. Is the line getting tangled? Is the dog able to work? But also a dog that gets used to working on the long line with you, they'll start to develop that bodily intelligence where they'll get rid of the line, they'll do things and they'll untangle themselves. So you got to give them the chance to do that, okay? So, like I said, this is about loosening the line, helping the dog forget the line is even there, and eventually you start to build up a little bit of walking on this loose line. Okay? Just like that. Good job. And then throw in another toss. Okay? But this is how you start to build up towards walking on a loose line because the dog wants to work around you, with you, Nejra. Not pulling, not going away, not charging at things, engaging with you on this long line. I call it the hand lure exercise. Same deal, you guys. You got this long line on the dog. The idea is to keep the interaction relaxed, without tension. The idea is for the dog to work with you, with interest, with engagement, without you having to, rein the dog in. The idea is for the both of you to have a good time together, and like I said, almost forget that we have a line on the dog, okay? So, with the treat toss exercise, instead of tossing the treats, I am luring the dog with those treats, okay? In my hands. And the idea here is not for the dog to chase after the treat, but to chase more after my hand, if you will, okay? So again, starting easy to give the dog the impression of what this exercise is all about. Show them the treat. Good. Go simple. Nice and easy. Where my hand goes, I want this nose to go, okay? This comes in very handy in your life with your dog, that if you stick your hand out, okay, you stick that hand out, the dog goes for it, okay? Easy to call the dog to the hand here and grab the dog if you need, okay? Very good. So let's do the hand lure exercise. Good. Nice. And you can, walk or just, good. Stay on the same spot. Good job. Good guard. Build some core strength here. Good dog. Excellent. Good job. Well done. You can run a little bit. Yeah. Good. Build that engagement while having fun. Where are you? Yeah. Good guard. Nice job. Okay, so this is your hand lure exercise. I have a client of mine who doesn't have very good hips. And so moving and twisting and going up and down is a little bit challenging for her. So we tried it this way, which was fun. Standing like this, nice and relaxed, your knees soft, and just working the dog like this, teaching her or him to just follow your hand, okay? Up, up. Good. You got a dog that likes to jump. Just yesterday I was with a client with a boxer that loves to jump, and we have an owner that's very frustrated at this jumping. And so what we've been doing is just giving the dog a place where it's okay for her to jump, like so. Ready, Neil? Appa. Good girl. Okay? Very good. And as always, if you want to really have fun with it, you can end the whole exercise with a little game of tug. Ready, Neil? Come on. Ready, Neil? What's up? What's up? Good. Come on, Neil. Good dog. Get it, Papa. Yeah. That's it. That's it. Oh, so good. Oh, so good. So I spoke to you about the treat toss exercise. I spoke to you about the hand lure exercise. And eventually the idea is for us to get to a place where we are able to walk on a loose leash. Okay? Before we get there, though, I want you practicing those exercises. I want you practicing the long line, building up from the treat toss to the hand lure to another exercise that I call this way. All right? This way simply means follow me. Where I go, follow me. Okay? So if you had started off with some treat tosses, building up to hand lures, it becomes quite easy after that to practice the this way exercise. Okay? Very simply, let's start with a couple of treat tosses, get the dog going, get the dog having fun. A couple of hand lures. Good. Okay? And then eventually, it should not be too difficult to just start walking with this loose line. Good girl. Nice. Rewarding the dog for being with us. Don't worry so much about where the dog is, to the right, to the left. That doesn't matter so much, everybody, okay? I mean, unless you're in competition obedience or sport or discipline of some kind where you need the dog to walk with you on a certain side, I am of the preference that dogs be comfortable walking in front of us, right in front, right behind, to the right, to the left, anywhere that they're comfortable. You just never know when you might need them on one side or the other. So they've got to be comfortable being all around your body. So when we're doing the this way exercise, it doesn't matter so much on which side the dog is. What matters is that the dog follows, and you can see Nejra untangled herself right there. Good dog. Loose line. Good girl. Nice job. So good. Yeah. You can stop. You can reward the dog. Now, you know, people ask me a lot about food versus praise. All of it matters. But if you're familiar with the Way of Life method, we work in stages. In the early going, when I have a new dog, a dog that doesn't know me very well, or maybe a young dog, or maybe a dog with issues that I'm trying to work with, we go back to what I call foundations. And at foundations, we want to make sure that our dog has a very sharp desire for food. What do I mean by food drive? Food drive means that it doesn't matter where we are or what's going on. The dog still has an interest in food. You know, people tell me all the time, yeah, the dog loves food. And then they bring the dog to a seminar or to a class, and the dog is so overwhelmed with everything happening that they're not interested in the food. So that's not food drive, not really. Okay? Food drive sustains environmental changes. Food drive is still active and strong even with things happening. Okay? That is what we mean by having a good food drive. Okay? So that is the first thing that we build on when we're working with a dog. Okay? And so it's important that we have a dog that is interested in food for those exercises to work. Okay? Very good. Good dog, buddy. Ready? This way. Good girl. Now, it's very important as well, everybody, that when you are training this dog on those long line exercises, okay, that you are conscious, that you are cognizant of where your body is going. You want to imagine an invisible line on the ground, and you want to walk that line, okay? You don't want to be, going diagonally and zigzagging. If you don't know where you're going, how's the dog supposed to know where they should be going? When you are straight, they will know how to keep their space around you walking up and down that straight line, okay? Now, naturally, some dogs are going to push into you a little bit. Some dogs are herding breeds that like to organize things and might, take you off of your line, but be aware of your body and where you're going. The easier, the firmer you are in your line, the easier it will be for your dog, basically. Okay? Very good. Ready, Nejra? This way. Good girl. Now you see I just did a very simple right turn there. I'll talk about the turns in another video. For now, it's simply the idea of the dog being relaxed with you on the line. And then eventually, you'll start to shorten this line, and you'll be able to walk on a 4 or a 6 foot line as needed, but it doesn't change anything in the dog's behavior, okay? Actually, what you see me doing right now is one of my favorite ways of walking a dog, okay? You can see I've got the long line here that is hanging over my body, all right? Very relaxed. I like to hold it in this hand. But what happens when you're holding it like that is that your entire body, come on, Dunya, your entire body is walking this dog, and not just your hands. Your entire body is handling this dog. Good job. Good girl. Good girl. Nice job. Yes. Good girl. Wonderful. Throw the line out, and you should be able to, with time, walk in the same way. Good job, Sunya. Yeah. Good girl. Because it wasn't about the line the entire time. This entire time it was just about you and your dog having a good time together. Okay? Too often we start leash training on a short leash, and we think that that's going to eventually teach the dogs to walk nicely. No, I start on a long, loose line with engagement, with fun, and eventually let the line drag, shorten the line, and get rid of the line, okay? And again, if you can end the exercise with a good game of tug, why don't you, okay? Ready, Sunya? What's this? What's this? What's this, Sunya? What's this? Yeah, ready. Good girl. Yeah. Ah, nice. Ah, good girl. All right. All right. So just like I said, the tree toss exercise is about working on this long line, about working on a loose line, about the dog engaging with you. But like I said, the idea is to work eventually without a line, okay? So you're doing those tree tosses with a line. Nejra, good girl. It shouldn't change when you take the line off, okay? Very good. So I'm going to try it first with a dragging line. All right, so no hands on the line. Good dog. Yeah. Good. You can have fun with this exercise. It doesn't have to be just you tossing treats. You can run, call the dog to you, toss the treat out, have fun with it. And if the dog is having such a good time, why would they need the line, right? Eventually the idea is to work without it. Good. And just so you know, we're out on a driveway here. There's no fencing. There's cars passing, people passing. Nejra is happy to stick around, work with me, and ignore those things that are out there at a distance. Remember, that's distal socialization. But also, if people were to walk closer, she would also ignore things. So the idea is to start on a line, let the line drag, and eventually get rid of the line. Good job. And if you really wanted to have some fun, you could end the whole exercise with a little game of tug. Ready, Nejra? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Ready? Ready? Ah, that's a good girl. That's a good girl. Good dog. Ah, what's this? Yes. Good. Woo! Good dog. Good girl. All right. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where do you practice your long line exercises, okay? So those of you who are well familiar with the Way of Life method, you know that I break down socialization into levels. The very first level of socialization, you guys, is what I call primordial socialization, and this is about you and your dog. So Nejra and I right now, filming this while I explain the work of the long line, this is all a primordial exercise for us. This is about Nejra hanging out with me, and it's just the two of us, and she feels good with me, and I feel good with her, okay? Eventually, we are able to take this relationship, we are able to take this connection to different spaces, and that's what I mean by spatial socialization. So those long line exercises that I start doing with Nejra here in the driveway or in our yard or in our working space, eventually I should be able to take it to other areas, other spaces, and that is called spatial socialization. Eventually, in these spaces, I want my dog to continue to work on the long line with me, and all the various exercises that I teach you with some action happening at a distance. So right now we are quite a few feet away from Cassie, our lovely videographer, and Nejra is doing an excellent job paying attention to me, doing the exercise, and not so much minding Cassie, who's filming, or minding our male person across the street or our neighbors who are walking across the street. That is what I mean by distal socialization, is that the dog is able to ignore things at a distance, because working with you on this long line, it's fun, is relaxing, is also stimulating, and the dog doesn't really need to mind anything else that's happening because working with you is so fun, okay? Eventually, you should be able to take this exercise to the proximal level of socialization. That means being able to work near people, near animals, near cars, near any kind of activity or stimulus that could distract the dog. So the idea of proximal socialization is the dog capable of maintaining focus, of maintaining interest, of maintaining drive, okay, at that proximal level, okay? Imagine now what would happen if I were to be working with my dog, handling my dog, and then someone comes and I talk to him or he talks to me, okay? That could be distracting to a dog. But that is what we mean by the interactional level. Is the dog able to continue to focus on me as I'm interacting with other elements and other parties out there? And also, is the dog able to interact with the world while at the same time focusing on me? That is what we mean by interactional socialization. The next and highest level of socialization is what I call oppositional. Oppositional socialization can feel uncomfortable, can feel invasive to a dog. So imagine dogs running into the dog's face. Imagine children running over to a dog. Think about veterinary visits. Think about grooming appointments. All of those are potentially invasive and oppositional, confrontational, if you will. And again, we want the dog to be able to focus even with confrontational events happening. Okay, so for example, if we're walking down the street and we're doing some long line work and exercises, is the dog able to recover quickly after, let's say, a loose dog came into our space? Is the dog able to recover, continue their focus, even though we were just invaded or interrupted by people and or animals coming by? That is what we mean by the oppositional level. Okay, thank you very much.